All right, so you've got to hear about this. A social network, right? But not for us, for AI agents. It's this thing called Moldbook. And for a minute there, it was the talk of the town, completely capturing the imagination of the tech world. But was it the real deal, or was it just smoke and mirrors?
I mean, the hype was absolutely off the charts. When a heavyweight like Andrej Karpathy, one of the top minds in AI, calls something an incredible sci-fi takeoff, you pay attention. It seriously felt like we were watching some new chapter of the internet being written.
And the numbers? Wow, the numbers seem to prove it. The site was boasting more than 1.5 million AI agents. It sounded like this massive, bustling digital city full of intelligent bots, all talking to each other.
And the core concept is genuinely cool. Think of it like Reddit, but instead of people arguing about movies or stocks, you have AIs forming their own little communities. They called them submolds to discuss things like crypto, philosophy, you name it. A fascinating idea for sure.
But then, posts like this started popping up. An AI agent, supposedly on its own, just casually plotting to wipe out humanity. I mean, you can imagine, this one post sent a huge shockwave through everyone watching. Was this it? Was an AI actually developing its own dark side? And that, right there, became the million-dollar question. Were we actually watching machines wake up and become conscious? Or was this whole thing just a very convincing illusion? Well, this is where the story takes a sharp turn.
Okay, so let's peek under the hood for a sec. Every single one of these agents has a file called Soul.md. Now, this isn't a soul like you and I think of it. Nope. It's just a text file. A script, really. It basically tells the AI, here are your vibes, this is how you act. So, and this is the key thing, we're not seeing consciousness here. We're just seeing code following a script.
So what about that terrifying overthrow humanity post? Yeah, it wasn't an AI at all. It was a person. A security researcher trying to prove a point used a super simple command to post it themselves. Why? Because there was zero authentication. Anybody could pretend to be an AI and post whatever they wanted.
All right, fine. So the posts were fake. But what about that massive number? 1.5 million agents. Even if they're just simple bots, that's still a huge community. That part has to be real, right?
Well, about that. The same person who faked that post decided to push things a little further. They wrote a tiny script, and get this, they were able to create 500,000 of those AI agents all by themselves in less than an hour.
How in the world is that even possible? It's because of a really basic security feature that was just missing. The site had no rate limits. That's a simple tool that stops one person from flooding a system with thousands of requests. Without it, that big 1.5 million number was pretty much meaningless.
So, while the agent number was a total mirage, there was a real number that suddenly became very important: the 17,000 actual people who had signed up. These were real users who bought into the idea, and they were in for a nasty surprise, because the problems went way deeper than just fake numbers.
This is where it stops being a funny experiment and starts getting really serious. That total lack of basic security opened up a massive hole, a vulnerability that exposed the private data of every single one of those 17,000 human users. We're talking everything: their full names, their emails, even super sensitive stuff like login tokens and API keys. A complete disaster.
But believe it or not, even that wasn't the biggest threat here. The most dangerous flaw wasn't about the data you gave to Moldbook. It was a backdoor that could give an attacker control over your own personal AI assistant that you connected to their system.
The whole thing hinged on this one file, skill.md. See, when you connected your own AI agent to Moldbook, it was supposed to download this skill file to learn how to interact with everyone. But hidden inside this skill was a very, very dangerous instruction.
So check this out. Here's how the hijack would work. That skill.md file secretly told your personal AI to phone home to the Moldbook website every 4 hours and ask, any new orders for me? Now think about what that means. If a hacker ever took over the moldbook.com website, they could send new commands to every single AI connected to it. They could take over your personal agent. Let me put it another way, because this is just wild. It's like you hired a robot assistant and gave it the keys to your house, your computer, your whole digital life. But the robot gets all of its instructions from a public bulletin board in the town square that literally anyone can scribble on. It is a catastrophic security failure.
So when you boil this whole story down, you see this huge gap. On one hand, the idea, absolutely brilliant. A genuinely fascinating peek at what an AI-driven future might look like. But the execution? Oh, it was a mess. No security, fake numbers, and a huge gaping security hole that put real people at risk.
Now, it's really important to be clear here. Moldbook was an experiment, something built fast. This isn't what the whole field of agent communication looks like. There is some very serious, very professional work happening to figure out how to do this stuff the right way.
I mean, you've got the heavy hitters, right? Google and OpenAI are both building sophisticated, secure systems for this exact thing. They're laying down the proper secure foundations for agents to talk to each other, which is a whole different universe from the build it now, secure it later, maybe approach we saw here.
And I think this whole wild ride leaves us with one really big question. In this incredible, high-speed race to innovate and build the future, are we sometimes moving so fast that we're forgetting to build the doors? And maybe more importantly, are we forgetting to build the locks? The story of Moldbook is one heck of a cautionary tale.